The film begins in 62 AD in northern Britain, where we see a child named Milo sleeping. He wakes up to the sound of many horses galloping nearby. As soon as he steps outside, he is shocked to see Roman soldiers attacking his tribe. He watches his father and mother fighting the soldiers. But soon, he is devastated when he sees his father die before his eyes. His mother runs to him and picks him up, but another soldier strikes her with his horse, knocking her to the ground. We then see a commander named Senator Quintus ordering his soldiers to gather all the tribe's people and kill them as a warning to anyone who dares rebel against the empire again. At that moment, Milo sees his mother also being killed right in front of him, so he pretends to be dead so no one notices him. The soldiers finish off all the tribe's people, pile their bodies together, and then leave the area. The next day, Milo rises from among the corpses and sees all the people of his village dead, including his father, who is hanging from a tree. He walks away from the scene and keeps moving through the forest until he sits under a tree and falls asleep. The following day, a slave trader passes by, spots him, and decides to take him. 17 years later, we see a man named Krikos and his servant, Pilator, watching a fight in the arena. The three fighters belong to Krikos, and no one can defeat them. Then, we see Milo, now grown up. Pilator informs Krikos that people call him the Cat, and that his entire family was killed before his eyes long ago. Milo enters the arena and fiercely attacks the three fighters, showing just how strong he has become. No one can stand against him. He kills all three fighters and returns. Impressed by Milo's strength, Krikos decides to buy him, along with the other slaves. However, one slave named Gladiator is furious, because his brother was one of the three Milo killed. Later, Pilator takes the slaves Krikos purchased to transport them to the city of Pompeii. Along the way, they encounter Cassia, the daughter of Prince Severus. Her carriage gets stuck in a hole, and the horse falls, breaking its leg. Milo asks Pilator to free him so he can help the horse, but a guard strikes him. Cassia then orders the guard to release him. When Milo approaches, he sees the horse's broken neck and puts it out of its misery. Afterward, he returns. Cassia thanks him, boards her carriage, and they continue their journey. Ariadne, Cassia's companion, asks why she keeps looking at the slave so much. Cassia admits she can't believe someone could be that strong, clearly showing her admiration for him. Later they arrive in Pompeii, but the streets are crowded, so Cassia, Ariadne, and their escort decide to walk to the palace. They stroll through the city until they reach the palace, where Cassia is warmly welcomed by her mother, Aurelia, and her father, Prince Severus, who haven't seen her in a long time. Afterward, she goes to see her horse and meets Felix, the stable master, who tells her how much the horse missed her. She thanks him, bids farewell to the horse, and leaves. Meanwhile, Milo and the other slaves arrive at the prison and enter the dining area. A man named Othicus is approached by someone who tells him, "The young man they say is stronger than you has arrived." Othicus replies, "We'll see. We learn that Othicus has an important fight. If he wins, he will earn his freedom." Back to Milo, who is eating when Gladiator and a few of his men approach. Gladiator asks for his name, saying, "I want to know the name of the man who killed my brother." Milo grabs his plate and smashes it into Gladiator's head, then attacks another man. But Gladiator grabs him and repeatedly slams his head against the wall, before dunking his head into water to drown him. Milo manages to free his hand, bites Gladiator's finger, and escapes the water, launching a fierce counterattack until guards intervene and pull him away by force. At that moment, Master Krikos arrives and yells at Pilator for the chaos that occurred under his watch. Then, they lock Milo in a cell with Othicus. Meanwhile, we see Felix with Cassia, the prince's daughter's horse, walking by the sea. But due to the nearby volcano, a flood suddenly surges, terrifying the horse. It throws Felix off and bolts, but Felix can't escape in time and falls into the water. Back in the cell, Milo is haunted by memories of the day his family was killed and wakes up in panic. Othicus calms him, saying, "Don't be afraid. If I wanted to kill you, I would have done it already." He asks Milo his name, but Milo refuses to speak. Othicus insists, "You can't stay silent forever." Later, Pilator arrives and takes them out of the cell for the gladiator arena. When they arrive, Pilator mocks Othicus, who defiantly declares, "Tomorrow is my last fight. I'll win my freedom, and you'll mean nothing to me." Krikos then asks Othicus who he wants to fight in his final battle. Othicus looks at Milo and chooses him, determined to make Milo the final step to his freedom. Since the fight is the next day, they use wooden swords instead of real ones. Milo charges at Othicus with incredible speed, but Othicus, being massive and far stronger, easily overpowers him, mocking him the whole time. Enraged, Milo fights back with brutal force, eventually disarming Othicus, who grabs another sword, and the battle resumes. Milo, however, proves his strength and gains the upper hand. Just then, Gladiator appears with a knife, ready to stab Milo from behind, but Othicus stops him, throwing him to the ground. Pilator quickly intervenes, regaining control and sending all the slaves back to their cells. Later, Milo asks Othicus, "Why did you save me?" Othicus replies, "A true warrior doesn't die outside the arena, and when you die, it should be face to face, not from behind." Sometime later, Senator Quintus arrives in Pompeii with Commander Proculus. Prince Severus and his wife greet them, apologizing for not receiving them at the harbor. Quintus dismisses it, saying, "I understand you're a busy man." When Severus asks about the new emperor Titus, Quintus assures him he's doing well and continuing his father's legacy. Severus then shows Quintus the city's new constructions, including modern sewage systems and a new arena. Meanwhile, Cassia is upset that her father invited Quintus to Pompeii. Her mother explains that as long as the wealthy fund the city's development, they must be tolerated. Suddenly, Cassia sees her horse bolting toward the palace alone. She rushes to calm it, surprised that Felix isn't with it. Back in the cell, Milo asks Othicus if tomorrow is truly his last day in prison. Othicus confidently says that after killing Milo, he'll be free. Milo warns him, "They're lying to you," but Othicus refuses to believe it, trusting in Rome's laws. Later, Krikos takes the slaves to a banquet at the palace. There, Milo spots Proculus, the man who killed his father years ago. Prince Severus shows Quintus his city expansion plans, but Quintus initially rejects them, seeing them as unnecessary for the empire. However, he agrees to sign the deal after tomorrow's gladiator games once he sees Cassia again. Meanwhile, Ariadne notices Milo and brings Cassia, who can't stop staring at him. Her mother notices, but Severus takes her to meet Quintus. The senator reveals they knew each other in Rome and ominously says, "I'll tell you everything," at the arena. He then asks Cassia to return to Rome as his wife, but she refuses and storms off. Suddenly, the volcano erupts again, shaking the city. Milo, alarmed, asks Othicus what's happening, but Othicus dismisses it. Meanwhile, Cassia's horse panics just like before. She orders Pilator to release Milo so he can help calm it. Pilator hesitates, but Cassia insists. Milo enters alone, and after a struggle, manages to soothe the horse. When Cassia enters, she asks, "How did you do that?" He replies, "I asked him." She then asks, "Were you a horseman before a gladiator?" He reveals his family were all horsemen killed by the Romans. Cassia says, "I'm not Roman," but when the guards call for her, she warns Milo, "If they catch you, they'll punish you." Milo reached out his hand, and Cassia mounted the horse with him. He kicked down the door and galloped away at full speed, fleeing the palace. But after a while, the horse stopped, and Milo realized he had to take Cassia back if she stayed with him. She might suffer because of him. When they returned to the palace, the guards seized him. Senator Quintus was about to execute him on the spot, but Cassia intervened, explaining that the horse had panicked and bolted. She pleaded for Milo's life, and Quintus reluctantly agreed. "The princess has granted you a new life," he sneered at Milo, then ordered Krikos to give him 15 lashes, so he learns his lesson. Cassia watched in anguish as Milo endured the punishment in silence. Later, Milo and Othicus were thrown back into their cell. Othicus tried to clean Milo's wounds, but then a violent earthquake shook the prison. Milo confessed that he had seen the man who slaughtered his family. Othicus, in turn, revealed that the Romans had also killed his entire family 22 years ago, but the worst part was that he could no longer remember their faces at night. The two men, bound by shared pain, became friends. The next day, the entire city gathered in the arena for the gladiatorial games. Cassia arrived, and Quintus forced her to sit beside him. Meanwhile, Pilator organized the slaves for the fights. Krikos received new orders. Instead of granting Othicus his freedom, he would be forced into another fight this time, against a massive warrior to give the crowd a good show. Krikos agreed, deciding that Othicus should die in battle rather than be freed. As they led Milo and Othicus into the arena, Krikos noticed the prison walls had weakened dangerously from the earthquakes. He warned Severus to postpone the games, but the prince dismissed him. "This building has withstood quakes for decades. If anything happens, it's on you." Furious, Krikos ordered his men to prepare his chariot. He was leaving the city for a few days. Milo, Othicus, and a handful of other prisoners were chained to a massive boulder, and given weapons. They were vastly outnumbered as waves of enemy gladiators charged at them. Milo fought fiercely, urging his group to climb the boulder and fight from higher ground. But the enemy overwhelmed them, killing several of Milo's men. Desperate, Milo and Othicus fought back to back, slaughtering anyone who came near. Meanwhile, Cassia watched in terror. Quintus noticed her distress and mocked her. "What is that slave to you?" she snapped. "Nothing that concerns you," Quintus smirked. "Your father agreed to our marriage unless you refuse. And if you do, all his city's projects will be cancelled." Cassia clenched her fists. "If I agree, will you leave my family alone?" "Your family will become mine," he replied coldly. Back in the arena, Othicus managed to break the boulder loose, crushing a group of soldiers beneath it. Milo grabbed a spear and hurled it at a Roman horseman circling the arena, then leaped onto the man's horse. Using his chains as a weapon, he slaughtered every soldier in his path. But then Gladiator yanked Milo's chain, dragging him off the horse. As a soldier moved in for the kill, Othicus threw his weapon, impaling the attacker. He then turned on Gladiator and killed him too. Milo seized Rome's banner and roared, "I don't kneel to murderers." He shattered the emblem and hurled the pieces at Quintus, but Proculus blocked them. Enraged, Quintus ordered Proculus to call in reinforcements and finish them off. Just as archers prepared to fire, Cassius stood in their way. Quintus drew his dagger. "Sit down, or I'll kill you myself." Cassia glared. "If you kill him now, you make him a martyr. And if you break your word, you prove you're a weak leader." Furious, Quintus ordered Proculus to lock Cassia in the palace. Then another massive earthquake struck. The ground split, and the volcano rumbled. But Quintus, desperate to maintain control, declared, "If this slave wants to be a hero, let him face Rome's champion Proculus." As guards dragged Othicus back to the dungeons, Proculus stepped into the arena ready to kill Milo in single combat. The battle between Milo and Proculus erupted with fury. Milo attacked with all his strength, driven by vengeance for his father's death, but Proculus was a formidable warrior. He overpowered Milo, shattering his shield and sword. A guard tossed Milo another blade, and the fight raged on. Then another earthquake struck. Buildings crumbled, panic spread, and the crowd fled in terror. Quintus screamed at Proculus to finish Milo, but the ground split beneath them. Milo and Proculus plunged into the fissure as the arena collapsed, burying Quintus, Aurelia, and Severus under rubble. Milo gained the upper hand against Proculus underground, but the Roman commander hurled him aside and escaped, sealing the prison gates behind him. The enraged slaves turned on their jailers, exacting brutal revenge. Meanwhile, Severus, still alive, grabbed a weapon ready to kill Quintus, but at the last moment, he hesitated. Instead, he struck Quintus down himself and ordered Proculus to carry him to the harbor. The city was in flames. People swarmed the docks, desperate to board ships, but guards held them back. Krikos bribed his way onto a vessel, while Milo and Othicus remained in the ruined arena. Milo rushed to Aurelia, who lay dying. "Protect Cassia," she gasped, revealing her location before perishing. With the volcano spewing fireballs, Milo resolved to save Cassia even as Othicus warned it was suicide. "We'd be dead already if not for her," Milo argued. They agreed to reunite at the harbor. The guards abandoned Cassia's cell. Ariadne tried to free her, but collapsing walls trapped Cassia until Milo burst in, pulling her to safety. As Ariadne ran for water, a quake swallowed the palace, dragging her into the sea. Cassia wept, but Milo urged her, "We must reach the harbor now." At the docks, Quintus, bleeding but alive, ordered Proculus to slaughter civilians, clearing a path. Because of the fiery boulders flying from the volcano, a massive fireball hit the ship carrying Krikos and destroyed it. Odyx was on his way to Mina to wait for Milo, but was shocked when he saw the sea turning into a tsunami. He quickly descended and started running to escape, but on his way, he saw a girl fallen on the road with people trampling over her. He rushed back, saved the girl, took her mother, and they kept running until they finally reached a safe place. Cassia informed them that the southern hill was far from the volcano, but to get there, they needed horses. They quickly returned to the battlefield to search for horses in the stables. Cassia went to see her parents before leaving, while Milo and Odyx went down to look for horses but found nothing and hid from some passing soldiers. At the same time, the senator reached Cassia, tied her up in his chariot, and was about to leave with her, but Milo and Otyx arrived just in time. The senator ordered his soldiers to kill them, took the chariot, and fled. Milo and Odyx fought all the soldiers and easily defeated them. Odyx then told Milo to chase the senator while he dealt with Proclus. The two kept attacking each other, but Proclus was extremely strong and managed to wound Odyx in the leg with his sword, then struck him in the stomach. However, Odyx broke Proclus's sword, grabbed him, and stabbed him in the neck, finishing him off. Meanwhile, Milo was still chasing the senator. Due to the flying fireballs, a huge pit appeared in front of him, but his horse managed to jump over it. Cassia broke a piece of wood from the chariot, freed her hands, and stabbed the senator. However, the chariot hit a rock, overturned, and the senator fell out. Milo rushed to Cassia to check on her, but the senator tried to attack him from behind. Cassia grabbed his hand at the last moment, and he and Milo began fighting with swords. The senator disarmed Milo, but Milo managed to take his sword and struck him in the arm. At that moment, the volcano hurled a massive fireball at them. Shortly after, the senator emerged, heading for Cassia, but suddenly, Milo appeared and attacked him. Cassia managed to chain him to the chariot, and Milo picked up a sword from a fallen soldier. The senator asked, "Why do you want to kill me?" Milo replied, "You killed my entire family long ago." At the same time, the volcano erupted. Milo left him, took Cassia, and fled on horseback. But due to the many explosions, the horse panicked, throwing Cassia and Milo to the ground. Milo ordered her to ride alone and escape quickly, but she refused. She calmed the horse and told him she would stay with him. The lava reached them as she hugged him, turning them both to stone.
And that concludes today's film. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell icon to stay updated. Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for the next summary. Goodbye!